Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. A while back, I did a video showing an upload to my coffee shop of some of the new digitals that I created. And one of them was this feed sack quilt pieces kit. And in that video, I talked about, or I guess I asked the question, posed the question as to whether or not excuse me, whether or not you wanted to see some ideas for using digitals. So I did one with the Aesop's Fables kit, and then I wanted to tackle this one. Obviously anybody could, use this as collage fodder, tear it up and re-glue it in whatever, arrangement you choose. Use it to decorate cards and, typical, any way you would decorate any component of a junk journal. But I thought, okay, I've got these millions of pens, and, sometimes there is a real health benefit to just doing a really simple Zen activity like doodling. Now, this particular one, I must have printed it twice. So it's a happy accident, actually, because you can see the before and you can see the after. Oh, it's not identical. Well, it's... no, it's not really identical, but it's close. So, enough about that. So, I began very conservatively, very modestly. I was doing things like drawing a black line around those white dots. I did this little zigzaggy thing over here. I did these stars in this gingham. And I did this, sort of did little boxes. And you can see that I was using a very fine pen, probably, one of these Staedtler. I have them in different thicknesses, but you can see that that is not really in your face. And that's not to say that you necessarily want the design to be in your face. But then I thought I should go bolder. So I added this faux stitching around every single piece of fabric. And that sort of created a new level of contrast. And then I was freed up to get a little bolder. Sorry. So, and again, not sure how much of this you can, some of it is fairly subtle. Like, for instance, I outlined these pinkish flowers with a fairly fine red pen. Here I did these spirally things with a darker color. That's more visible. Here I outlined the different features on the plaid. This stripe, it's really not obvious, but I did color in the solid stripes, and then I did that line work on the white stripes. Here I did some subtle marks, then I outlined some of them, drew some connecting lines. Here I just drew some tiny dots. Now, when I darkened these and went over all the greenery, I don't know if maybe if I move the paper you can see, you can pick up that there's a metallic look to the green. Here I did sort of a connect the dots kind of thing with a purple pen. Here I darkened some of the dots and outlined them. So there is no right or wrong. Half of the joy is in just doing whatever the heck you want. And here I just ran a darker line down the middle of those pinkish stripes. Here I added lines going in the other direction. And again, without before to compare to, a person might not even be aware of it. And that's not to say that the next time I do this, that I would do it the same, or that I would not go bigger and bolder. So I thought, well, okay, I can either tell you about all this or I can show you. So this is another one of the pages in the kit. The kit is only 5 pages long, because that's all these feed sack quilt sections that I had, and they're hexagons. So, and the final one was this paper piecing, like the back side of one of the pieces. So here, geez, you know what? I didn't check the light level. Maybe I should put a little more light on the subject. Sorry, I'm not quite used to having to do that. It seems too early in the season to have to do that, but oh well. So, obviously you don't have to have, sorry, thought something fluttered to the floor. It can join all its companions down there. Obviously, you don't have to have this kit in order to doodle. You can start on a plain piece of paper. You can start on any kind of paper. It could be a magazine image. It could be, another digital. It could be a book page. It could be anything you choose. And you don't have to have as many pens as this either. And frankly, I used, just this liquid gel pen, also Pentel. I really like that pen, and it happens to be in purple. I've used some Sharpies here and there when the color is right. And of course, Sharpies come in a variety of pen, like thicknesses and pen tips and so on. So on this one, all I've done so far is using that Pentel purple pen. I outlined those flowers, sort of outlined the components of this design, added some white X's in this gingham. Now that doesn't seem particularly big and bold, but maybe I shouldn't worry about that. Oh, another thing I did on this sort of turquoisey part, I colored in the stripes, and then I drew these sort of herringbone lines from one part of the design to the other. And there's no way of knowing, you sort of you decide to do an element, and then you don't really know, like you're just sort of creating it as you go. I just want to try going over this a second time and see if we get a little more life to it. This happens to be a Posca pen. Poscas also come in a couple of different tip sizes. And, that's how and why a person ends up with a bag full of them. Because you think, oh, well, I must have that color and that color and that color. And then, oh, what if I need it in a different thickness? So, yeah, and before you know it, you've got a bag full of pens. These are no-namers. Whoa. I've said this before. It's an Office Depot brand. There were, 3 million in the package. And considering that we bought them in the States, 3 years ago maybe, most of them are still really good. I don't know why some tend to dry up sooner than the others. It's not like I've done a great deal of doodling with them. I think this guy is DOA. Anyway, another thing I had done here was on this stripe, I added the circles on the lighter stripes and then the darker lines on the other stripe, or no, every second stripe, so that, it creates a little more interest. So really, the question becomes, and there is no right answer. That's maybe the takeaway. Where to next? What to do? What to emphasize? What to create? And I think that will probably end up using a black pen again to do the stitching lines. But perhaps, I don't know. Mind you, I guess if it was any finer than this, it probably wouldn't be that visible. I think just to shake it up a bit, what I will do is make them crosses this time. So I'm using the narrower black. I should get these guys out of here. I actually had this, when I was doing this, I had it clipped to the clipboard so that I had a nice flat surface underneath. So we will just try this. I have my glue book off to the side here where I can just, you know, try out a, oh, you probably can't see anything with my, I'm going to turn on the other lamp too. It's getting darker as we speak. This is one of those lamps that has the color temperature adjustment on it. I guess to be a true cross stitch, the X's should connect. Oh my goodness, I made these kind of so wide and low and wide. But we're not here to criticize, are we? So this was the perfect choice. Plus, the benefit, you know, even if I never did a thing with this, the benefit to me as the artist is the meditative, relaxing, mindless activity of doing this. And it's funny, I was thinking about this. I have a couple of art journals on the go. I've done art journal videos, but honestly, I can't remember when. It's been so long. It's almost as though I don't believe, and I mean, it's crazy. I'm trying to understand my own thinking here. And maybe you can tell me in the comments if you feel a similar way. It looks maybe better if I don't worry about connecting the crosses. It's almost like in the studio or in the course of a day or a week or a month, that there is a hierarchy of activities here. And I have arbitrarily and unconsciously decided that working in the art journal is less important than some of the other things I do. And now that I'm aware of that, I need to stop that. Because anything like, it's illogical, for one thing. How could doing a spread in an art journal be less valid than making a tag or fussy cutting? None of these things are going to change the course of civilization. None of these things are life-altering. None of these things are going to stop the world from spinning on its axis if they're done or if they're never done. So it's a case of, I don't know, just if the spirit moves me or you, if the spirit moves us, we should act on it and not get caught up in the shoulds. Well, I should scan something and make more digitals. Well, I should put something on social media. Well, I should get more comfortable with Facebook. Well, I should clean up and put stuff away. All of those are legitimate activities, there is a time and place for everything. But my goodness, there's also a time and place for just coloring, playing, cutting, gluing, making a mess. I also can't remember the last time that I did gel prints. And sometimes I think to myself, well, okay, but you have to get some videos done. Or, you've got appointments to keep and places to go and things like that. It does take a little bit of setup, and it kind of takes space and makes a bit of a mess. Those aren't good enough reasons not to do it. And the thing is, you can see somebody else do a video. Like, for instance, one day Brenda, the simple crafter, was doing some gel printing on playing cards. Well, I have enough playing cards to, get from here to, what's the furthest point? I don't know, Australia maybe. And that's going the long way. So good idea. Carrie, the paper craft, or what is he? Carrie the crafter, did that whole month of a challenge, and I think Joan was part of that. From Joan's Junk Journals and More, I think. And so were a million of other people. So saw Carrie doing wax seals again not so long ago. When was the last time I made wax seals? It's one of those things. And the logical part of me, the sensible part of me, knows that it's impossible to do, for one person, moi, to be doing all the things simultaneously that I could see in even one day's videos. So, you need to keep some stuff in perspective too, because that is the reality. I can't add up all those people who made videos and posted them and think, well, why didn't I do all of that? Because I'm one person. But I'm glad that I decided to do this, because it reminds me how satisfying it is to just do something that will, it'll never result in a sale. It'll never, it's totally for my own. I'm kind of getting far away there, eh? Can I squeeze another one in? That's where the sewing machine skipped a beat. So it's just kind of important to give oneself permission to, I want to say goof off, but that's a value, that's a loaded statement. Again, there's a value judgment that I'm adding there, which I shouldn't be. It's nice that this stuff dries quickly, because you don't have to worry about keeping your fingers out of wet. It almost seems like maybe the crosses are nicer. Well, maybe they're different, let's put it that way. They're twice as much work, if you're counting. So I hope that, number one, I hope you're still here and I'm not talking to myself. But I also hope that maybe once you saw what I was doing, you paused and went and got something to doodle on or with. Because it is, as much as I'm trying to still, be somewhat coherent and string a few thoughts together, it is easy to just lose yourself in the repetitive motion. When I've said this before, I was never a YouTube person. And then COVID happened and everybody, the world came to a halt. We were homebound and so on. Well, I discovered YouTube, and, you know, again, it's algorithms and SEOs and search engines and recommendations and all that stuff that none of us really totally understand or frankly want to. I became aware of Amy Maracle, and she lives, I think, in one of the eastern states, and but she has obviously paid courses, but she also has a lot of free content on her channel, and she is very much about, well, it's been a while since I watched her, so I don't want to get the terminology wrong, and maybe it's not exactly how she describes it, but it's basically mindful, slow drawing. And I created, working along with her, I created some of the most beautiful things, in my humble opinion, that I've ever created, and enjoyed it thoroughly. I think if you're on my coffee shop, I have a membership-based thing called Words and Pictures. So basically, every month on the 15th of the month, I upload a file, two files, one of words and one of pictures. Hence that clever, oh, so clever name. Anyway, so the Word document, I mean, it can, well, whatever. I'm not going to get into the whole spiel about what it could be or what. Every month is different. So, you know, it could be quotes. It could be in August, actually. I love doing them. I created a word find puzzle. And all the words are words like jargon from this stuff that we do. And so that was the word thing. Anyway, I am pretty positive that in one of the early months, and I'm now talking about the pictures part of the subscription, that I included one, or maybe I guess just one, of a page of I don't know what the size would be, maybe 2 inches by 3 inches or something. Anyway, a whole page of those kinds of squares, and every single box was a different doodled design, and all it's strictly black and white. I love that so much. And of course I've done others, and I've done a circle version. One of the other things that I did, and I think I'm pretty sure was with, under Amy's tutelage. I had also done something else, and honestly, it's so long ago, I don't even remember totally what I used. It is one of the most beautiful things that I have ever created. The colors are so special. It's my intention to share that, because the pictures part, I forgot to explain that. The pictures part of the membership are, obviously digital reproductions of artworks that I've created. So it could be a watercolor painting, it could be an acrylic painting, it could be doodling, or, whatever. So that thing that I'm talking about, it just kind of, person shouldn't have regrets in the art room, I guess, but I just wish that I would have made them bigger. They're actually 4 small things, mixed media. The colors make me happy every time I look at it. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure I've scanned it. I don't know why I don't have them framed and here in my face every day to see and to love. Okay, I got a few more to go. I didn't really intend to do all of this because once you've seen one or two crosses, you've seen them all. Or X's, I guess. But you can see how adding a bolder black line automatically brings some definition and depth to this piece. Now, those actual quilt pieces, I think, were from the 30s. So, you know, obviously time and soiling and that, although I did wash them, hasn't been kind to them. You know, there's fading and whatnot. And you can fix that or alter that, change that if you wish. When you, you know what? Sorry, I'm interrupting myself. I love this so much. I think I want to do something similar over there. So, I do have this other beautiful blue pen, and also an Energel Pentel liquid gel ink. And I just use these sometimes when I'm making important notations in my planner. Now I'm going to try not to be very accurate here. So if I'm a little off, then that we call that painterly. But it also, it adds kind of a more organic feel too. Yeah, I think this will be nice. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. And I don't suppose you can help me remember that either. I can't hear you yelling at your TV. But see how that crisps up the design? And here, because I did some marks right off the like off the target, sort of. It serves the purpose of almost like a drop shadow. This would be a good activity to do if you've just gotten word from your government that you're being audited. I shouldn't laugh about that. We've been audited. It's no fun. Anyway, I was at a thrift store the other day. You know, a Christian-run thrift store. You know, manned by volunteers and so on. I don't know how we got on the top. Wait, let me see if I can remember how we got on the topic. Anyway, the guy, it was a man. You know, there aren't usually that many men working in these places. Anyway, oh, I wish I could remember how, like, he was so out of the blue in offering this, his story, but I don't know I can't remember what triggered him. Anyway, I don't know if again, sorry, I don't remember that part. Anyway, he says, how about a 7-year-long audit by Revenue Canada? I says, what? And so he went on to explain that he's a pastor. And, you know, I'm always full of questions. And I'm not just, you know, blowing him off and thinking like, okay, give me my receipt and let me get the heck out of here. That's not who I am. I'm going to engage. Because to me, the whole benefit of encountering someone is that you get to hear somebody's story. Or you get to maybe make a difference in their life by telling some aspect of your story. Anyway, I said, so that means that you're not really salaried, you're considered self-employed, and that's why they felt you hadn't paid enough tax or what. He says, no, he says, I get a salary. He says, I'm the kind of person that always paid a little extra, just to be on the safe side. But anyway, why did I start telling you this story? Wouldn't it be good if I had a point? Oh, I know. I was saying that, yeah, if you get the letter that you're being audited, this is what you want to do to take your mind off it. Look how well it's taken my mind off the topic. Anyway, it's been dragging on for 7 years. I guess he's paid, well, or maybe now. Well, I guess now it's over because he said that, after all that time, they disallowed some deductions that he had made. So it was a difference of, he owed them $1,200. But he says, imagine what it cost them to pursue me for 7 years, like the staff time and of course, none of that stuff makes any sense. And especially if it was, an innocent mistake. And, and I think it's at this point that a person would typically insert an example about, some of the big guys, some of the actual criminal type behavior where people are routinely, defrauding the government and not declaring income or laundering money or whatever the heck, sheltering money in offshore havens and so on, doing all those things that the average mortal has no knowledge of, ability to, desire to, need for doing. And anyway, so yeah, it was one of those conversations. And I said, well, you're not alone. I said, the farm was audited once, which I guess isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, been doing this for 40 years, so maybe our number came up. My husband always thinks that the call to the buffet should be alphabetical. You call up all the A's first, Anaka. Anyway, so yeah, we got this. You get a letter saying that you're being audited, and because we pay an accountant quite dearly to file our income tax for us, naturally, well, I think they get notified too. But anyway, we reached out to her and she said, well, you're welcome to use the boardroom here. Don't let them come to your house. We can answer any questions, whatever. So we figured, okay, that's good. So we go there and we meet with him in their boardroom. And the guy, and again, I don't hold anyone's ethnicity against them. This guy was clearly not Canadian born. And that in itself is not a big deal. But he knew nothing, and I mean nothing, about farming. And I think we were his first audit victims. So first of all, he followed us the 50 kilometers home so that he could look and, I guess, see if we actually had any farm equipment. So Roy walked him around the yard and showed him this, that, and the other thing. The guy didn't know, and I'm being only partly facetious here, didn't know a combine from a seed drill. And, just the ignorance or the innocence in his questions was pretty scary. So I have that done. I think it's pretty cool. What I could do, okay, I have this. I guess it would be a hair thicker. Maybe I could just try to add some shadows here. Let's do it on the inside. Anyway, so of course he had he, with the, I don't know, the aid of his supervisor or whatever, they decided what receipts they wanted to see, or maybe they had to see everything. Don't quite remember. This is quite a few years ago. Anyway, so he's looking at this, and this all didn't happen the same day, of course. This dragged on for a while. And of course, when would be the best time to audit a farmer? Well, during harvest or seeding, of course. Anyway, so have to produce whatever he's asking for. And on this one receipt, and we'll never forget this, it's kind of an automotive parts place. And so, again, this is going to be meaningless to you if you don't know anything about farming or automotives or whatever. At that time, we must have been driving the Honda. I'm trying to see what I'm supposed to be doing here next. Anyway, so there on this one invoice, there was a line item for a box of roller chain. And he said, well, how do I know that's not for your Honda? Well, number one, if you knew anything about anything, cars, vehicles, do not have roller chain in them. But it was those sorts of things where he just had no clue. He was asking how much we spent on groceries. Well, what in the world does that have to do with anything? Nobody deducts the cost of food as a deduction. So what business is it, and what material difference does it make what a person spends on food? So, this went on for quite a long time. And really, there was nothing being accomplished. So finally, there's a regional office in Winnipeg, a Revenue Canada regional office in Winnipeg, which I guess serves the prairies. So, finally Roy got on the phone weeks or maybe a month into this and said, look, to talk to the guy's supervisor, because clearly this was bogus. And so actually, they found nothing. And basically he got yanked off the case. At that very first meeting, he had a supervisor with him who was there, probably coaching and so on, assessing, but my goodness. So I think the lesson for us was that, I'm shaking this like I had a plan. The lesson for us was, you don't give up all your rights just because the government has decided to audit you. So sometimes it's good to maybe stand your ground, push back a little, and, I'm mad as hell and not going to take it anymore, that kind of scenario. Oh, see, I could do the same thing here. That's exactly the same piece of fabric, but with a little more on it. So yeah, I'd probably do that. But I should check the time. You don't need to hear tax stories. But yeah, so I did feel for that pastor, because, your life does sort of feel like it's in limbo as you, when your number comes up. We've had other types of audits done as well, because of course they can audit any aspect of anything, like the GST, goods and sales tax. That was supposed to be a temporary measure when it was introduced to help bring some money into the government coffers. And here, decades later, it's still alive and well. I cannot believe a politician might have misled us. Anyway, and you must apply for a GST number if your income if your self-employed income is over $35,000 a year. You can apply if it's less than that, but you want to have a GST number. So anyway, yeah. So we have one for the farm, and I have a personal one. So again, fun and games. If you have an audit story, feel free to commiserate in the comments. Oh, I gotta do these guys, and then I'm going to quit. Well, I mean, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to turn off the camera. I'm trying to get a few videos done because I was almost to the point where, uh-oh, what next? But I want to get a few done because I've got a few exciting things happening. Now it will have happened before you see this video, but I'm getting together with Brenda, aka the Simple Crafter, the one I did the journal swap with, and Joan from Joan's Journal Adventures. She lives in Alberta, but in Red Deer. Anyway, we're meeting at a third location at Salvation Army. Like, where else would you choose to meet? Very soon. So that'll be nice. I still have to throw a few more things in. We kind of decided that, we're not going to go overboard giving each other stuff, but, no one ever goes empty-handed either. So, yeah, that's coming up. And then my American people are coming, my son and his family, because of hockey at the end of, what month is it? End of August. So that will be good. I should just see if I have... I don't think this will be a very good pen, but let's try. It's not, how pens are. Well, let me back up a smidge. If you know who Julia, here's an Energel in green. If you know who Julia Cameron is, congratulations. I think she's a gem. I'm not, oh, look, I'm going to be breaking the little brand new. This is not the same color as that, but hey, a little contrast doesn't hurt. I think I might just choose to elongate these, join the two little things together. Anyway, Julia Cameron, of course, has written a number of books. Probably she's most famous for The Artist's Way. Really a creativity guru. She was married to, am I going to remember his name now? Martin Scorsese, the film director. She's written musicals, and anyway, she is awesome. This would be several years ago now, she came to Edmonton. Someone brought her into Edmonton, and I was lucky enough to buy tickets and be in that room with probably, 400 other people. Now, she was very frail at that time. There was a perimeter set up around her. She was not going to... She took questions from the floor at the end, but no one was to approach her, for an autograph or anything like that. No, again, why did I start that story? Oh, my goodness. See, this is mindless. My mind was perfectly good before I started doodling. Oh, my goodness. Hopefully it comes back to me before I end this. God. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Maybe just as Gail Augustinelli would say, talk amongst yourselves while I try to remember. That gives it a whole new look. Hey, hey, hey. And again, there is only you can decide when you're actually done. I could keep working on this particular piece until the cows come home. I could use this to darken and give more importance to these stripes that I filled in earlier. Okay, I'm still trying to channel Julia, but so far no luck. If I remember before the video finishes uploading, I'll add it in the comments. Not in the comments, in the description box, like a secret message, like one of those coded ads that, you know, you sometimes would see in the movies, where somebody would, oh, look under the personals, and then blah, 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 it would tell you where the meeting spot was. Oh, I know what I was going to say, because I held up that other pen. Okay, Julia Cameron advocates doing 3 pages of, you know, first thing in the morning, before you get out of bed, perhaps. Well, maybe you can go to the bathroom first and then come back to bed, or get tea or whatever. 3 long handwritten pages that she calls morning pages. And basically it's stream of consciousness. And you keep going till you fill those 3 pages. It doesn't matter if it takes you half a day or 20 minutes. You just do it. And it might on some days, and trust me, it's happened, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. Will I ever think of anything to write? And so on and so on. Anyway, she has no rules about, you know, you don't need to pick a special book. You don't need to, but she does say, pick a fast pen. So my point here was going to be, where is that thing? Well, this is the same thing, basically. Not a fast pen, fast pen. So I think you probably know what I'm talking about. Oh, I see that I should have put some crosses in there. Anyway, I'm so glad I remembered that, because that's important. You want a fast pen. I think I'm going to stop, but clearly I don't know if this one is done, and I have others to do. Will I ever finish them? Will I finish them and show you? Who knows? Oh, I did this one twice. This one I printed brighter than this one. So, really, pull out whatever writing instruments you have. You know, if these tend to be pretty fine designs here. Not that I had to stick within the parameters of them. I could have done something far bigger and forget these arbitrary shapes and sizes. Pick whatever utensil you want to work with. Paint pens are good. Gel pens are good. Ballpoint pens are fine. You could use, you know, your water-soluble watercolor pencils, Caran d'Ache crayons, those although they tend to be so thick, those distress crayons, you know, whatever kind of makes sense for the project that you're working on. I think typically if we're calling it doodling, you know, it's more like using a pen. But you can reinvent your own technique. So I hope this has been of some interest to you, and I hope it makes you want to pull out your own. I just want to quickly add those few X's here. I hope you do some doodling. It will make your state of mind so much better. Oh, and you should check out Amy Miracle. She advocates working small, and that's partly why some of my pieces are so darn small, where they could be like 2 inches by 3 inches. And it might take 15 minutes to do that. Again, because the motion is so slow, far slower than anything I did here today. So I would check her out if I were you. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.